नमस्ते प्रणाम गीता ध्यानम। ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। O Bhagavad Gita, with which Lord Narayana himself gave enlightenment to Partha, the ancient sage Vyasa included it in the Mahabharata. O Goddess, showerer of the nectar-like knowledge of non-dualism contained in your 18 chapters, O my affectionate mother, the destroyer of rebirth, I meditate upon thee. Krishna Vandana. Vasudevasutam devam kansachanuramardanam devaki paramanandam Krishnam vande jagadgurum. Son of Vasudeva, the slayer of Kansa and Chanur, extreme delight for Mother Devaki, O Lord Krishna, the supreme teacher of the universe, my salutations to you. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 18th Adhyay of Moksha Sannyasa Yoga. And Sri Krishna, having explained to us the threefold aspects of the Jnana, Karma and Karta, the knowledge, the action and the doer. The threefold aspects, the Sattvic, Rajasik and Tamasic aspects of all these three primary requirements for doing anything. We should have knowledge. There should be some quantum of work in hand. If there is no work as such, what will we work upon? So that work as an entity, that is the second aspect. And who is going to do that work? There has to be a karta, the doer, the agent, the worker. So Sri Krishna explained to us the three distinctions between each of these. The Sattvika Jnana, the Rajasik Jnana, the Tamasic Jnana, and same thing for Karma and the Karta. And now Sri Krishna says it doesn't, it is not that it ends there. Sri Krishna says how we understand, how we gain knowledge, how we utilize it, that depends on our intellect. That depends on our buddhi, which is subtler than the mind, and in the level of hierarchy, it is higher than the mind. The buddhi is kind of a factor which always tells us, do this, don't do this. We don't listen to it, that is a different matter. But the buddhi's purpose is to always guide a person. This is not good for you, this is good for you. Now, even Sri Krishna says that buddhi is of three different types as influenced by the three gunas. And also, with the buddhi, with the intellect guiding us, when we are all clear, when our intellect brings in the total clarity for us, what the thing is about, whether we should do it or not do it, then comes the fixity of mind, the firmness of mind, that is dhruti. So Sri Krishna is now, he has started telling us about, he told that I am going to tell you in totality, without keeping anything in reserve, the three distinctions of the buddhi and the three distinctions of the dhruti, the intellect and the firmness of mind, depending on the three gunas of this prakriti, the sattva, rajas, tamas. And in our previous shloka that we read, Sri Krishna told us about that sattvika type of buddhi. Sattvika type of buddhi which actually determines, which makes us understand the pairs of opposites. Which action we should, which action leads us to getting entangled in the worldliness, the pravritti, and what is it that gets us on the path of liberation, the nivritti? That knowledge, that distinction. Then, which is a good work, which is a bad work, which is a pure work, which is pure assignment, which is impure assignment, which is ethical work, which is unethical work, which is moral, which is immoral. That distinction, that the buddhi that makes us aware of this distinction and bandham cha moksham cha, pravrittim cha nivrittim cha, karya karye bhaya bhaye. So pravritti is the actions that we perform and get entangled in this worldly life. That is the pravritti. Nivritti is we set onto the path of liberation. Now it is the intellect which tells us what is pravritti, what is nivritti. We should pay heed to it. Intellect is doing its work. Now, intellect is telling us, okay, this is pravritti. It is getting you, making you entangled in the worldliness. Again and again, you are born and die. You die, you born and you die. You take birth, you die. But the path of nivritti, you merge into the Satchidananda Parabrahman once for all, and there is no coming back. There is no entanglement in this cycle of birth and death. So that intellect. Then the intellect which tells us about karya and akarya, the good deeds, bad deeds, righteous deeds, the unrighteous deeds, the ethical deeds, the unethical deeds. That distinction, the buddhi that categorically distinguishes what is good and what is bad as far as the karya is concerned, as far as the karma is concerned. And then also the bhaya, abhaya, what we should be afraid of. The fear and fearlessness, about what we should be fearless. Now, both the aspects, the fear and fearless, they determine our mode of action. If we are afraid of the consequences, we won't do that. And if buddhi tells, if you do this, these are the consequences you are going to end up with. And if we are afraid of those consequences, we will never do it. Similarly, buddhi also makes us understand, be fearless. Don't get bogged down. Even if somebody tells you that I will harm you if you don't do it, if you know that it is not to be done, be firm, be fearless. Put your foot down. I am not going to do it. If somebody is forcing you to do something wrong, be fearless in that context. So this understanding between from what we should be afraid of, from which things, for which things we should have that fear of not doing, of not following, and under which circumstances we should be fearless. That distinction, that clarity of the distinction between fearing something and being fearless. And then bandham cha moksham cha, the understanding, the intellect that tells us this is bondage, this is liberation, this is putting you constantly in the cycle of birth and death. That is your bondage. Don't go for that. And this is the path of liberation. This is the path of nirvana. This is the path of moksha. Now, the intellect which clarifies, which brings in clarity on these pairs of opposites, that is the Sattvika Buddhi, Sri Krishna says, Sa Buddhi Sattviki. Now, and then Sri Ramakrishna also, we read about his teaching on the as long as we do not realize the ultimate truth, we are in this wrong notion of we are in the bondage. We don't get the clear perception. We don't get the clarity on these pairs of dualities. We don't get the clarity on what is good, what is bad. We don't get the clarity on which is the path towards getting entangled in this world and which is the path towards getting liberated from this cycle of birth and death. This we have till the time we don't realize that ultimate reality, that ultimate truth, we are always in this kind of dilemma. We are always in this kind of trouble, for that matter. So Sri Ramakrishna says that with the Sattvic Buddhi, you get this distinction so very clear. If the distinction is not clear, then even when a person is dying on the deathbed, he is worried about my property, my grandchildren, my fields, my wealth. Is so unfortunate. So that Sattvika Buddhi makes a person understand what is real, what is unreal. That is the discerning factor of our intellect. And that Sattvika Buddhi leads us on the path of liberation, on the path of moksha. Now, having heard that from Sri Krishna and Sri Ramakrishna about how the sattvic buddhi works, let us see what about the rajasic type of buddhi. Sri Krishna tells here, yayā dharmam adharmaṁ cha kāryaṁ chākāryameva cha ayathāvat prajānāti buddhiḥ sa pārtha rājasī. Rajasī buddhi, oh Partha, that buddhi is of the rajasic type. Which one? Yayā dharmam adharmaṁ cha, that buddhi which distinguishes the difference between the righteousness and unrighteousness. Dharmam adharmaṁ cha, kāryaṁ cha akāryam cha. Now the kāryaṁ cha akaryam eva cha, the good works, the good deeds, and akaryam, the one which ought not to be done, the things which ought to be done and things which ought not to be done. This distinction, ayathāvat, this ayathāvat is kind of disturbed. It is kind of wrongly interpreted. There is some kind of confusion in understanding what is right, what is wrong. There is some kind of non-clarity of what ought to be done and what ought not to be done. And in spite of that, having no clarity of what is to be done, what is not to be done, in that state of delusion, in that state of confusion, when the person starts doing the things, that is the rajasic buddhi. That buddhi which prajānāti ayathāvat, which has no clear-cut understanding, which has a disturbed understanding, which has got that understanding is absolutely distorted. What is good, what is bad? What is righteousness, what is unrighteousness? What should be done, what should not be done? What ought to be done, what ought not to be done? The kārya, akarya. Now that distortion of understanding, that makes us behave in such a funny manner at times, and we keep on taking all the wrong steps even at times, because there is no clarity what is good, what is bad. There is no clarity what is moral, what is immoral. There is no clarity what is ethical, what is unethical. There is no clarity what is going to bring good, what is going to bring bad. Now, since that clarity is not there, that understanding is absolutely distorted. We may see good in bad. We may see bad in good. If that is the thing, all our actions, they in a way become detrimental, howsoever effort we put into that. Because we don't know exactly what is to be done. And we consider, oh, if I am doing it this way, I am the right. Because there, the ego, it is at its highest level of inflated. That ego is highest inflated ego. And therefore, what I feel right is always right. It might in reality be absolutely wrong. But I know this is to be done this way, so I am going to do it this way. That is how the rajasic buddhi works. That having a distorted grasp of what is good, what is bad, having this the corrupted view of what should be done, what should not be done, there is no clarity, and then we end up doing everything wrong. And a typical example for this is Duryodhana, the cousin of Pandavas, who has brought so much of misfortune for Pandavas, for that matter. His greed for the kingdom of Hastinapur. He did. Now, in his opinion, he was absolutely right. In his opinion, because he felt this throne belongs to me. Now, he was so much convinced with that idea. He didn't know it is unrighteous. He didn't know it is a wrong thing to eye for the throne of Hastinapur. It belonged to Pandavas. And then this fellow, he calls them to play the game of dice. And using all those unscrupulous ways, cheating, And cheating as the quality of Rajasik, Sri Krishna has already told us. He made Pandavas lose that game of dice, that Dyuta, and snatched away the kingdom of Hastinapur from them. And then, when it came to the reality of the kingdom actually belongs to Pandavas, then came this decision of waging the war between the two families, between the two sets of cousins. Now see how this Rajasic Buddhi, only I am the right attitude, this can land in trouble. So this is a typical Rajasic type of personality example is always given for Duryodhana. Duryodhana is not, for that matter, a meek or a weakling. A very powerful warrior. He could match the physical strength to that of Bhima, for that matter. The mightiest of the Pandavas in terms of physical strength. Now, in spite of that, all Duryodhana lacked was the right type of buddhi. That his buddhi was Rajasic type. What I want, I will get. And if getting that, I have to destroy others, I will do it. That was the attitude. And therefore, Sri Krishna makes us give this cautioning note that the distorted view of what is right, what is wrong, the distorted view of what ought to be done, what ought not to be done, lands us in doing something which is absolutely uncalled for. And that is the type of the things that the Rajasic Buddhi makes us do. So we have to be cautious about that effect. A man endowed with Rajasic intellect is capable of turning out enormous work. He has the capacity. He has the ability. Unlike the Tamasic type, Rajasic type has got the ability, he has got the strength. Only thing that is lacking is the right understanding. He has the means, he can do, he can slog for hours together, he can put in extreme physical efforts. No dearth of that. But everything in the wrong direction. And then what happens? When everything in the wrong direction for my good, I'm going to inflict injury on others. It is as simple as that. Because I am always right. That attitude. I know everything. I know what is to be done. Even if it is wrong, for me, it is right. So that kind of confusion, that kind of delusion in the mind, he may go to the extent of ruining the other. That is what happens when this Rajasic Buddhi predominates. The person under the influence of that Rajasic Buddhi, he can just drown the other person. He can destroy the other person. He can destroy even the kingdoms and annihilate the entire fabric. So that is what happens. He scrupulously avoids associating with good people. Now, if you look at the Kaurava camp as such, this is also happens. This is also a typicality of the Rajasic Buddhi. Rajasic Buddhi doesn't allow access to the Sattvika Buddhi. Rajasic Buddhi, the Rajasic person who is predominated by the Rajasic Buddhi doesn't allow the good people, Sattvika type of people, to advise him or her. But what happens? We can clearly see this in the Kaurava camp. All these hooligans, for that matter, all these wretched people, all these unrighteous people, they were so strongly knit. Duryodhana, Dushasana, then Shakuni, Jayadratha, they were all so strongly knit. The good people like Bhishma, Drona, Krupa, they never had any influence on these people with the Rajasic, who were controlled by the Rajasic Buddhi. So this is what happens again, that he scrupulously avoids associating with good people. He will use those good people, but he won't ask, he won't pay heed to their advice. He won't associate with them in terms of seeking their advice, seeking the good counsel for them. No, he will use them, yes, but not use their words of advice. Any talk on spiritual matters would be distasteful to him. Duryodhana didn't even pay heed to Sri Krishna's words, what to talk of others for that matter. He would hold spiritual men as unfit for life and mock at them. This is what, in fact, Duryodhana told Sri Krishna. Oh, Sri Krishna, you are asking me why you are doing all these evil things. You have given me this mind. You have given me this intellect. I can do only that. Now, see how smart way of twisting the matters. The same Duryodhana, which is who has actually capability of producing good, but utilizing the whole thing only for evil purposes. Telling Sri Krishna, you have given me this evil mind, what can I do? So that is kind of a tricky counters that these people with the rajasic buddhi, rajasic intellect, they always are ready with. So that is the rajasic buddhi, and Sri Krishna says this is not good on the spiritual path. On worldly planes, yeah, it might bring results to a very short term, but in reality, it is no way of liberation for that matter. It is no way of illumination, no way of enlightenment. It is just getting entangled. So beware of that even rajasic type of buddhi, and Sri Krishna has told us that is how the rajasic buddhi expresses itself of a distorted understanding of right and wrong, a distorted understanding of what ought to be done and what ought not to be done. Once that distortion comes, then the entire fabric starts, getting disturbed. So that was the rajasic buddhi that Sri Krishna explained to us. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Sri Ramakrishna. Jai Thakur. Jai Ma. Jai Swamiji.